A bad graph can cost you marks. Here are some common mistakes that students make when it comes to plotting their graph. The first thing is reversing x and y axis. When you have something like this, the horizontal line is the x-axis and the vertical line is the y-axis. When you make a mistake and call this x-axis and this y-axis, then you will get a wrong answer no matter how good you are at plotting your graph. Another mistake that students make with graph is not starting from 0 when required. When it is required, then your graph must start from 0 and the point where they meet here is 0. Then you have 1, 2, 3 or whatever digit on other sides, except it is not required for that graph. The third mistake that students make with graph is using uneven interval. For example, maybe you use 2, 4, 6 here, then you are using -2, -5, -7 here. Or maybe you write 2, you use 2, you use 5, because you have 2, 5, 6 in your values, then you decide to write them out like this. That is wrong. When plotting graph, make sure you use even intervals. If you will be using even numbers, use even numbers. If you will be using 5 as your intervals, then you should be having something like 10, 5, 15, -5, -10, -15. Same for the y-axis. You must use even intervals. And the fact that you use 5 as your interval on the x-axis does not mean that you must use 5 for your interval on the y-axis. You can use it depending on the digits, depending on how wide your graph is. You can choose 2, 4, 6 for your x-axis and then choose 5, 10, 15 for the y-axis. What matters is that make sure that you use even intervals. The interval between these two must be equal to the one between these two. The interval between these two must be equal to the one between these two, and so on. Do you need personalized help? Click the link in the description to message me directly. Another mistake that students make is skipping labels. When you are plotting your graph, do not skip labels. Don't just say x-axis and y-axis. Label both axes. Are you representing time against temperature? Put time, put temperature there. If your x-axis represents time, then put it there. Time, if it is time in seconds, then put time in seconds there. If it is time in hour, put time and open bracket and put hour. If it is time in minutes, put time and then put minutes. If your y-axis represents distance, put it there. Don't just put y-axis, put distance. If it is in kilometer, open a bracket and put kilometer there. So while you are sketching your graph, make sure you label the axis. Another mistake to avoid is that you should put arrow X, just like I put here. Put arrow X because graphs usually go beyond what is drawn. Then another mistake that you need to avoid is that you must title your graph. Don't make the teacher guess what it's about. Let the teacher know what the graph is about. Title your graph, write it at the top. And these are the final tips. When sketching your graph, use a pencil and ruler. Avoid messy curves. If you are sketching a straight line graph, make sure you use a pencil and a ruler. If you are sketching a curved graph, make sure you use your curve tools. Then double check your intervals and labels before plotting and ask yourself, will someone else understand my graph without explanations? If what you are drawing cannot be understood by someone else without you explaining it with your mouth, then you are making a mistake. So your graph should be able to be understood. Your teacher or anyone picking your graph should be able to understand it without having to ask you to explain. That's it for today. If you learned something new, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, and drop your answers or thoughts in the comments. Remember, math gets easier the more you see it and say it. See you in the next video.